Hello, and welcome to Junk History, the show where I scour time, space, and eBay in search of the greatest artifacts from pop culture history and drag them screaming back to my museum of plastic curiosities for the world to delight in. I am your host, Tom Ryman, a tenured professor of junk archaeology and time travel, and also probably some kind of astronaut. Today's episode is a huge find. An original Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom action figure. Look at that stature. He's as tall as most Ninja Turtles, and only a fraction is articulated. The guy only wanted like 6 teeth for it. That's not a lot of teeth. You can carry that amount of teeth around just casually, with no purchasing agenda. Luckily, I always make sure to carry several types of currency with me on my adventures. Never spend your own teeth. For those of you who don't remember, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was the second movie in the yet ongoing Indiana Jones saga. Temple of Doom opened to a then record-breaking weekend, coming in just behind Ghostbusters and Beverly Hills Cop as the top-grossing movie of 1984 before going on to become the 10th most successful film of all time. Again, at the time. Now it's in like the top 200s. Man, that's too many movies. We've made too many. And since executive producer George Lucas had pretty much left filmmaking behind at this point in his career to fully embrace the toy-making business, Temple of Doom rode a wave of Indiana Jones merchandise largely targeted at little kids, including comic books, an arcade game, various indecipherable home versions of that arcade game, poster and storybooks, board games, and trading cards cut from the back of cereal boxes. We got the whole gang here, like Indiana Jones, his indentured servant, and his glamorous hostage. These were featured on specially marked boxes of Kellogg's Rice Bubbles. What the are Kellogg's Rice Bubbles? Oh, huh. So kids were clipping out Indiana Jones baseball cards all the way in Australia. Neat. And of course there were toys, like this little guy here. Little Indy with whip crack in action. Look at him go. How much of a bounty do you fetch on Electronic Bay there, little Indy? Let's see. $20. And Molaram, mint on card. $400 for Molaram? I wasted my teeth! The point is, Steven Spielberg and friends specifically pushed for a PG rating so that they could sell all this bullshit. Kids won't give one dusty butt gas about toys based on a movie they aren't allowed to see, so it was super important that they be allowed to see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now you'd think the easiest way to do that would be to maintain control of the content on your end as a filmmaker and make sure nothing too objectionable made it into the finished movie. But you are not Steven Spielberg. Indeed, few of us are. You see, back in the 1980s, Steven Spielberg made it his personal mission to terrify all the world's children by sneaking truly shocking sequences into PG-rated movies, such as Poltergeist, which was originally slapped with an R rating until Spielberg fought to have it reduced, and Gremlins, a Trojan horse of a film luring kids in with the promise of an adorable chirping Howie Mandel puppet, and then unleashing a wave of skeletal reptiles who commit sexual assault and murder on Christmas Eve. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out that same year, a PG-rated event film for the whole family that featured people eating pregnant snakes and animal brains, child slaves dying in their parents' arms, and a man dressed for a Carnival Cruise adventure getting his heart ripped out and lowered into a pool of lava, burning and screaming all the way. Steven Spielberg, who had undeniably tipped too much of his child-frightening hand, came under fire for both of these movies, which were undeniably marketed towards people of all ages. Hence this toy I am now holding. People magazine's review of the movie referred to it as a cinematic form of child abuse. The same year, they ran a cover story about Drew Barrymore teaching parents how to turn their kids into child stars. This is a written form of child abuse. But this wasn't just film reviewers or angry parents writing him letters after taking their horrible, noisy children to the movies only to have them frightened into a terrified silence that they respect but will never understand. Spielberg was receiving personal rebukes, meaning his friends and acquaintances were accusing him of selling horror to children to his face! And not the good kind of child horror, like the existential depression offered by Don Bluth movies. The bad kind, like grown men peeling their skin off and getting crushed to death by automated mining equipment. This was kind of already familiar territory for Spielberg. Jaws was rated PG, but carried a special warning indicating that it may be too intense for young children. It 100% is too intense for children. Quint by himself is too intense for children.
Who very idiot! Starboard, ain't you watching it?
A few years later, Spielberg ended the PG-rated Raiders of the Lost Ark by blowing 3 motherfuckers up with God magic. And there wasn't a single nebulously phrased warning anywhere on that poster. Spielberg needed to find a way to keep smuggling bone-chilling horror into his movies that would allow him to continue selling both tickets and licensed breakfast cereal to children. Cutting all the chainsaws and supernatural Nazi revenge killings from his films would compromise his hauntingly specific vision, but slapping his films with an R rating would cut him off from his most lucrative audience. So in the face of all this criticism for Temple of Doom and Gremlins, Spielberg went to Jack Valenti, the president of the Motion Picture Association, and said, "Hey, people are really mad about all the monsters and dead children in my movies, but I don't want to take any of that out because it's awesome. So what if there was a rating in between PG and R? His initial suggestions were PG-13, PG-14, and weirdly, PG-2, the sequel to PG. Or you need the parental guidance of 2 parents. I don't know. It's dumb, obviously, which is why Jack Valenti didn't use it. He got back to Spielberg and said, "We thought about it, and we decided that PG-13 sounds the right amount of dangerous. Parents know there's gonna be some violence, some swearing.
God damn it!
Maybe even a woman's nipple or 2. Teenagers know there aren't gonna be any talking rats or f***ing Care Bears in it. It's win-win. You may continue to sell your action figures." Hooray! The PG-13 rating was officially introduced in July of 1984, and although none of Spielberg's previous films, including Temple of Doom, were re-rated, virtually every multi-quadrant blockbuster released since then has carried the PG-13 rating. PG-13 is the studio sweet spot. You can get away with just enough to entertain adults without excluding anyone under the age of 17 from going to see it. And why does that matter? Let's take another look at the top grossing films in 1984. Number 1, ahead of Ghostbusters and Indiana Jones, was Beverly Hills Cop, an R-rated action comedy. 2 other R-rated movies were in the top 11, Police Academy and Purple Rain. Now, how many R-rated movies crack the top 10 nowadays? Not a lot. The reason we're seeing PG-13 RoboCop, Die Hard, and Terminator sequels is because, thanks to the PG-13 rating, studios are afraid to make R-rated movies. Why cut out half your audience if you can just trim enough of the edginess to make them appeal to everyone in the world? Sure, movies were big hits before, but we didn't start hitting $1 billion in worldwide box office until PG-13 was invented. Today, an R rating is like a death sentence for a movie. Sure, Deadpool was a big hit, but the people who made that movie had to fight for half a decade to get it released without completely reworking it for a PG-13 audience. So if you feel like there's kind of a bland sameness to all the Transformer, superhero, Hunger Games, and giant lizard movies currently crowding the modern box office, you have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and all the incredible bullshit it needed to sell to children during the summer of 1984 to thank for it. It's this guy's fault. Lil Indy. I'm not sorry. Hooray for money! I mean, yeah, I guess I should. Well, warm up the time stream. I gotta go refill my bag. Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you want to subscribe, hit the big C in the middle, and if you want to watch more videos, hit one of the 2 boxes on the left. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell icon below so YouTube will notify you when we have a new video. And if you want to watch me eat sand, f*** you. You're a piece of shit.